Don't let our big-time production value and celebrity names fool you. Looking at you, Producer Dave, but Rockfight LLC is a small business and growing brand. And even though we have our own consigliere, he advises on other matters, we've got to consult a lawyer every now and then on the legal structures that every business needs. But for a small business like ours, the cost to hire general counsel or pay a retainer is a non-starter. So what's an outdoorsy founder to do? I mean, come on, we're not flashing that outside money. Enter Conatus Counsel. They can help your business with fractional general counsel and legal services, from strategy consulting to advocacy and government affairs to real-world implementation for outdoor recreation industry businesses. Forrest over at Conatus Counsel has helped Rockfight navigate some of these areas, and let me tell you, knowing someone has your back means you can focus on running your business. I mean, he had at least 3 edits to this read to, quote-unquote, protect us from ourselves. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Forrest cares just as much about the outdoors and the outdoor industry as our listeners. So, got questions? ConatusCounsel.com to get in touch with Forrest. The first 6 hours are free. Wait, what? What? I can't say that? Oh, initial consultations are free. Okay, fine. In the store aisles, a quiet revolution is happening. With Endeavor, frontline staff aren't just selling products, they're building trust, making connections, and turning browsers into loyal customers. Let's see how. He didn't know which brand he wanted, just that the trail ahead was rocky. But she knew, because she'd trained for this moment right on her phone. A quick conversation, a confident recommendation, and a perfect fit hiking boot later, he's ready for his trip. That's right, she's a... It may be lunchtime, but between sandwich bites, he learned about fog fighting tech and snow goggles. An hour later, that knowledge helped a customer pick the perfect pair and add a helmet too. Learning on the go, selling with certainty, adding value. Yup, he's a... Endeavor is a mobile-first platform that equips retail staff with training, incentives, and tools to boost sales and brand engagement. Brands gain insights, sell-through improves, while retail associates stay motivated. Ready to get started? Just head to endeavor.io, update your brand profile, and upload your dealer list to access the free features and, when you're ready, launch your first pay-as-you-go campaign. With flexible, scalable options, Endeavor turns everyday interactions into strategic wins. The result?
Be a shop floor hero. Endeavor's here to stay. Shop floor hero. Sell-through is the way. Rock fight, rock fight, rock fight. Rock fight, rock fight, rock fight. Here we go.
Welcome to the Rock Fight, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head. I'm Colin True, and joining me today, this September, she's going to Middle Earth. It's Shawnté Salabert!
Where am I going and why am I going?
You're going to Middle
there?
Earth. I think we need to do it. I think September, October, November.
This is our
outdoor
Lord of the
movies,
Rings.
Lord of the Rings trilogy. Let's go.
We're finally going to right that wrong that has just been burrowed in your soul since I told you I've never seen them.
Well, you're telling me how you were shopping at like a gem shop. I feel like there's enough like mystical, like fantasticalness in your life.
There is.
And that it will not only resonate on the pop culture front, but also on the, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
The Sean
I think you'll love
Astin
it.
front. I think the Sean Astin front, you could have sold me there. Also, it's very green, right? I mean, it's set in New
green.
Zealand, is it not?
It is.
Middle Earth, right?
Well, Tolkien's whole thing was, like nature versus, industry, and like was a whole like the World War II, the influence of that, and versus the natural world. So there's a whole like running theme there that I think will absolutely resonate with you.
Okay. What is the time investment of this? Am I basically going to be renting a room from you guys for a month?
Well, I would say we each probably you do the first 2 on your own, then you come down for the third one.
Okay.
Otherwise,
I've got to put in the time up front, and then number 3 is where it all comes together.
It does, and I think and even if that's the case, if it doesn't work out, fine. But it would be a lot to say, no, you need to drive to San Diego 3 times
because I'm not doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there like a stipend, like a rock fight meeting? Is this our retreat, like our rock fight retreat? Should we zoom in like all the other guys and they can zoom in with us?
My kids do watch-alongs like remotely over like over like FaceTime and stuff like that. Should we set up a Zoom where we watch the movie? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have a feeling all of them will be too busy doing the things they do in their regular lives to join us. But
Schnitzbahn will join. He's a big Lord of the Rings guy.
That makes sense. I feel that. This is thrilling.
Speaking of all that, let's get into some programming reminders because that's we're going to talk about Open Container here, right? So come back to the Rock Fight this Friday. You know who's going to be on the show this Friday, Shawnté?
Who?
Justin Hausman.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so exciting. Is he going to be drinking beer?
Probably. He's coming on the show. He's going to talk about what he's been up to the last few months. He's been working with Save the Redwoods, so we're going to have a little conservation conversation. But what's going on the network, speaking of Open Container, Shawnté?
Well, you know what? Did you miss Monday's episode of The Rock Fight?
I hope not.
I hope not. How about Tuesday's newest Open Container?
Soon to feature Shawnté Salabert.
Oh, my goodness. Well, hopefully you guys didn't miss those. They were pretty great. But also, did you know that we are launching a new show with, and Colin wrote this, it says, our own Shawnté Salabert. That's me. It's me.
I like hearing you say your own name.
My mom would be like, you're saying it wrong. We are launching a new show, Gear Abby. I'm going to be answering all of your burning questions about outdoor people, places, products, and pastimes. So send us your questions at...
And your sponsorship dollars.
Yes, and especially your sponsorship dollars. Send us your questions about sponsoring the show to myrockfight@gmail.com. There is no topic off limits as long as it is tangentially related to the outdoors. So the takeover of outdoor podcasts here on the Rock Fight Podcast Network is happening, Colin.
It is happening.
You are thrilled. Make sure you all follow and listen to all of our shows.
And lastly, sign up for our newsletter by heading to rockfight.co. That's called News from the Front. It comes out every week. Follow us on Instagram to get video clips from all of our podcasts. And then also be sure to follow this podcast and all of the podcasts on whatever podcast app you are using right now. All right, let's talk about some outdoorsy stuff.
Yes.
Today's opening shot, presented by Lems Footwear, maker of the 100% vegan and 100% comfortable Primal Zen. By the way, I endorse that statement. It's a very comfortable shoe. If you've not tried the Primal Zen from Lems, I say you should. Yeah. Are you?
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm going to try it
Excellent.
out. I've loved my switchback so much that I am excited to see something with a closed toe.
There you go.
We're going to go take some journeys together.
So first up today, per CNN, a British hiker who had ignored trail closure signs and had to be rescued while hiking in the Italian Dolomites. The Dolomites?
Dolomites. I always say Dolomites, but maybe that's because I'm a fan of 70s films.
So this hiker has been fined $16,000 to pay for his own rescue. According to authorities, in order for the 60-year-old hiker to end up where he was rescued, he had to have passed at least 4 signs, crawled around a barrier, and was told by other hikers that he should turn around and hike back with them. Instead, he found himself calling for rescue from the Berte Via Ferrata. Berte? I'm not sure.
Salaberte.
Yeah, Salaberte Via Ferrata. Yeah, that'd be, what an honor. But without the ability to provide his exact location, there was rockfall raining down around him, and apparently he's in the middle of a landslide.
Sir.
So well done, sir.
That's so much. Oh my goodness.
What were your thoughts about reading this one there, Shawnté?
Well, first of all, just you saying all of that, it does remind me of a time. So back probably 16 years ago now, there was this website, still exists, called Modern Hiker. It was based in SoCal. Yeah, you know Modern Hiker. So they used to have a message board. And I remember going up on a trail, Mount Low Fire Road, something, toll road. And there were closed signs that I just did not pay attention to whatsoever. And my friend and I were going to hike a loop back there. And we just kept encountering rock slides. And
oh my God.
Finally, we encountered one that we had to sort of grab a branch and swing over Tarzan style. And when we got back to the trailhead, then we saw the signs. We're like, we're idiots. And we wrote about it. This is the best part. We wrote about it on the Modern Hiker message board. And then Casey Schreiner, Modern Hiker himself, was like, hey, if you ever want to go hiking, I'm like, why would you want to hike with us?
We're ignoring closed signs.
Yeah, buddy.
I had a similar thing. And I wasn't. The thing about this is so funny is apparently there were a lot of signs for this guy.
Yeah.
But I remember I was living in Colorado. We went on a mountain bike ride. And we're a buddy of mine, and we're just buzzing on this trail. We'd never ridden it before. This is just outside of Boulder. We're like, this is great. Why haven't we ridden here before? Someone starts yelling at us, like, get off the trail. We're like, fuck you. Mountain biking rules, what are they? Turns out, no. It was we had missed the sign that there was no bikes allowed on this trail. And the people were more like, hey, dude, you're not supposed to be here. And of course, we're like, nah. Yeah, but I'm like, oh, oops, sorry about that.
This is how we learn as baby outdoorists. Yeah. The funny thing is Casey is one of my very, very close friends now. And yeah, we actually went on that summer to hike Mount Whitney together. And we had a great time. But yeah, I think, first there were a ton of incidents that happened in the Alps and the Dolomites over like a month period. I think it was June.
There was another story that was a little darker.
June to July. It was 83 people, I believe, died. Not just like
that's crazy.
And there were 20% more rescue incidents in the Alps and the Dolomites in this time frame this summer. So apparently there was a lot of really wacky weather. But my initial reaction, other than that, was just like, holy shit, $16,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
I did read that they charge less for rescues to EU citizens, which, of course, thanks to Brexit, this guy wasn't. Womp womp.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know helicopters are pretty expensive to operate, but holy shit, that's a lot of money.
Right. This is definitely not the first time someone's had to pay for their own rescue. I remember I was actually living in New Hampshire when they passed the law there that if like it is deemed that you are not prepared to be out in like the White Mountains when you at the time of your rescue, you will be forced to pay for that because you're putting other people at risk.
Right.
To that point, I'm kind of pro finding individuals for dumb rescues. I'm sure there are circumstances where I could be swung around, but I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I really do think this is kind of an ongoing debate because you've got, one faction that says, hey, would less people who really need help call for help if they thought they were going to get in trouble, get fined? Would more people be seriously injured, die in the backcountry if we started charging for rescue? So that's kind of here in the States. That's sort of the line that continues to exist is like, well, we'd rather take the side of let's just let people call if they need it. And not charge them so that they will actually reach out. But on one hand, this dude just passed all these, like it was willful ignorance on his part, right? Like he willfully did this. Other hikers told him to turn around. So he was clearly too special for that. So I don't really feel that bad for him, but I do think we need to figure out like, where would we draw the line? So, are you fined something like a mandatory donation to the local search and rescue operation? If you ignore a closure and get into trouble, that's fine with me. But a blanket charge for anybody who asks for a rescue, which would include people who just have accidents, medical conditions, things like that, I'm not so cool with that. Like, I really do think,
same.
how do you tie it into people's willful, like, flouting of the rules, their willful stupidity?
Well, and the reason why I was okay with it when I lived in New Hampshire at the time was because it's well documented, like why Mount Washington is a quote unquote dangerous mountain, right? It's because it's very accessible and people like roll up there without really knowing what they're getting into. And people go up there in the winter and it's like, in stuff that they should not have on or stuff that they should have brought that they did not bring. And, at that point, you are putting other people at risk. Like, this guy's in the middle of a landslide. They just send in a helicopter to pick him up. Like, I mean, think about the people flying the helicopter. That's not a regular situation for just be like zipping around in a helicopter, right? To go and pick this guy up. So, but yeah, if you're in trouble, you should be able to get help. And I guess it is almost like it comes down to the decision makers of who's like saying, oh no, you got to pay for it or you don't.
Right.
That's like a really hard position to be
how
in.
do you draw, like, how do you make it really obvious? I'd be really curious to hear from people who volunteer for search and rescue and do that. Like, what is your perspective? Because I think that there are some people, I think the through line, the party line here in the States generally is we don't charge for rescue because we don't want people to not call. But I have to feel like there are some search and rescue folks who feel otherwise because of some of the circumstances they've experienced or like heard of. So I'd be curious. Email myrockfight@gmail.com and let us know.
Yeah, please. This is one where, again, we never heard back from anybody. What was the one we really wanted? Oh, the mules, the running mules, the Strava mules.
Because nobody's doing that.
No, but there's got to be some search and rescue people out there.
There's got to be search and rescue
right?
people.
So please reach out. I would really like to hear your perspective on it because there's a gray area here for sure, but I'm sure there's some times when it's just like, you're like, oh, no, we should be charging these people who aren't getting charged and vice versa.
Right.
So
no, if you haven't, speaking of search and rescue, Bree Lowen used to be a search and rescue personnel, and she's written 2 fantastic books. One of them is called Found. I can't remember the name of the other one offhand. I've read them both. Dead Man and Pickets. They're both fantastic books. So if you're interested at all in sort of what search and rescue people do and what the reality is out there, she's got a very specific take on it, but they're both great reads.
Maybe she'd be a good guest on
She would
Open
be a
Container
great guest.
or Gear Abbey.
Or Gear Abbey.
Or Gear Abbey. Gear Abbey may want to know about search and rescue.
This exciting new podcast.
It's coming soon to a podcast app near you.
I'd have Bree on and be like, why are people stupid? Tell me everything.
I love that question.
It's just going to be once an episode. Why are people stupid?
That's a good segment name. Why are people stupid?
It's terrible. It's terrible.
This is the modern Darwin Awards.
We're
right?
saving that for the rock fight. That's only
That's
for
true.
our
Actually, it
Wednesday. We're saving it for the bison touchers.
That's a good point. That is a little bit more of a rock fight segment.
Yeah.
All right, next story. According to Syracuse.com, last month, a New York man was arrested at the Lake Placid Ironman after police received a complaint that he, quote, allegedly left his young son unattended while competing, end quote. The 44-year-old man set off to compete in the Ironman while leaving his 9-year-old son alone in the race's VIP tent for 10 hours. Volunteers and Ironman staff noticed that the boy had been alone for a long time, and upon realizing his father was competing, they contacted the authorities. The father has since been released, but is expected back in court earlier this month. Expected back earlier this month. So this to me is like the darkest side of like the active outdoor sporting life that we as amateur enthusiasts pursue. Like what did you think when you heard about this?
Success at all costs. Well, you know what I originally thought because we texted about it. But you know, my initial gut reaction was like, hey, I'm a former school social worker which I think nobody knows about me unless you've known me for a long time. But I used to work in elementary school, then I worked at a middle school, and we had the police there like every day. It was ridiculous. So I am generally against calling the police into a situation when there's an alternative solution. So in my mind for this one, I was like, oh, the immediate solution was to go yank this jackass off the course and take him to his son. And as far as your question about, you're sort of thinking about this, is this the dark side of this sport? So it's like somebody being so into their sport that they could just ditch their kid for 10 hours. I can't comprehend this. Yeah.
It makes me so mad.
Like I've certainly trained my ass off for certain objectives or races, and I've had to give things up though to not go to those. Things come up in life. Life gets in the way. Attention needs to be elsewhere. I just don't think for me a competition, these are all made up things that we've decided are important. A kid is not a made up thing. That's your real responsibility. I mean, I want to know more about what you think about this because you're a dad. Like what went through your head?
Just kind of what you said. I mean, it's like there's stuff in my own life that I don't have to do with my kids where I've had to either bail or reschedule something or whatever. When it comes to your kids, that, especially young kids, there's a contract that you sign effectively when that person comes into the world that you don't do shit like this. That is the priority in front of you. Now, and this is, I think it's almost worse because apparently there was an older brother involved who was supposed to watch the kid and who couldn't fulfill that obligation. And then the dad bought a VIP pass for the 9-year-old.
So wild.
Right. And I get what you're saying about the authorities. I feel like I could kind of go with, I guess it depends on where was he on the course and their ability to get to him versus how long the kid had been waiting and, how comfortable were the people who were in this tent with this kid.
Yeah, because it's not their job. Sure. Of course.
There's a scenario where I totally would have been like, I'm calling the cops. There's definitely a scenario where that happens. I agree with you that maybe that's not your knee jerk, but I'm trying to picture just these people sitting here going do you see what's with the kid?
Yeah.
What's going on with the kid over there? Is he all right?
Is he disqualified? Did he try to race? Is he just going to chill in the tent for the rest of the day?
Couldn't hack into the swim kid. Yeah. But it makes me so mad. And there is a part of me too that is at the same time that is I don't know. wasn't there. There are definitely missing gaps in the story. But this gets pretty black or white pretty quick for me. Look, especially when you find out that the big brother couldn't do it. It's hey, sorry, man, guess what?
Well.
Yeah, you spent all that time training. And that's when I go to, now this is the part of the outdoors that I don't like, when it's the people who are so serious about it, that are so defined by it, that I don't care if this has been your dream since you were a child to go race in the Ironman Lake Placid. Too fucking bad, dude. Go get your kid and schedule and register for next year. Yeah. You know what? You're fit. You should be happy with how fit you are because you could do an Ironman.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, just thinking about how, I think at least he deserves a ban, if not a suspension from Ironman events at this point. Yeah. That's just such a shitty thing to do to the people who work at the event, who are working for the event. They don't have their liability insurance, and it doesn't include babysitting services. So it's, at the very least, super poor judgment. And I think that there should be some sort of repercussion for him. I mean, I have to assume having the cops called on you is a pretty big enough repercussion.
He's got a court date. So that's fine.
I think he's probably good for now, but, also he just... Yeah, what a wild
Well, if he has a
thing
court
to
date,
do.
I mean, then they arrested him. It wasn't just the cop going up. And there was obviously a reason why they felt like they needed to do that, I would assume. I don't know. I just, I want to think the best that people can come around, that they can learn from their mistakes. But this makes it really hard for me to not just kind of connect dots that maybe aren't there about like, what's this kid's life on regularly? If this is kind of what happens to him at the weekend when his dad wants to go do a triathlon. So, ooh, this was rough. This one got my blood boiling.
So you don't think
what are you
he's
doing, man?
You don't think the kid's going to start getting into his own triathlons now? He's going to be like, screw this shit.
Beat you, Dad.
My dad abandoned me as a child, and now I cannot run.
It's the 80s drug commercials. I learned it by watching you.
Oh, man.
Oh,
80s
my God.
drug commercials. 80s and early 90s. Like, there was a great one, I think, early 90s about meth. That the refrain is, meth. And my friend, well, we were on the Colorado Trail. My friend was singing it to me because we were both super low energy. He's like, I have a song for us. And the whole commercial, this PSA was all about how meth is so bad for you because it gives you energy to do your housework and all these other things.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, we started singing just the refrain just as a pair of cyclists came around the corner as we're like, meth.
Like, oh,
just looked at us, he's
we're
like,
we're
okay.
a few days into our hike. We're already going insane.
Yeah.
So just excuse us. That does make me wonder, if that's kind of the takeaway from a lot of those PSAs, the PSAs don't really exist like the way they used to.
No, that's because I think they realized that all they were doing was encouraging us to do all the bad things.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess if anything comes out of this, it's fine. But I just, again, like, guys, it's important. As amateur athletes, it's important to have goals. It's important to stay fit and to find those things that fulfill us and all of those things, but not at the risk of a 9-year-old child.
Child abandonment.
Right?
But Daddy got a medal.
Yeah. Yeah, it really sucked for me, but he got that medal, the finisher's medal.
Whoop-de-doo.
All right, next up, according to I Run Far, endurance enthusiast and overall athletic superman Killian Jornet has announced his next project. It's called The States of Elevation. Jornet will set his sights on these United States of America in an attempt to link up the 14,000-foot peaks of the lower 48. Apparently, he's going to start at Longs Peak in Colorado and end at Mount Rainier in Washington, trying to connect all 72 peaks at 14,000 feet or higher. He's going to be traveling by bike and by foot, obviously by foot as he goes up the mountains, but by bike in between. So, first of all, good luck. It sounds hard, but apparently Killian likes this stuff, so I hope it goes well. That said, I really could not give less of a shit about this.
You are such a killjoy or a Killian joy.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.
Yeah, big picture wise, I kind of hope that he's funding himself, I'll say, that brands are not supporting this. Like, these big attempts by mountain athletes just seem stale at this point. I don't like the idea of a lot of marketing money being spent on them. I feel like there's much better uses of that money that, other than supporting someone's peak bagging goals. But I don't know. What do you think about Killian zipping around the U.S. and going up 14ers?
I mean, all right, I get it, old man on your lawn, always, perpetually.
Oh,
but
just wait till the parting shot.
Oh,
I got
boy.
a big old man on the lawn later on.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking. But I will also add this. To me, the reason, he's not a North Face athlete, but I'm going to say the North Face because they're pretty well known for their athlete team. Things like that exist. Sponsored mountain athletes exist because it's not necessarily, these companies aren't paying them to knock out a bunch of firsts and do things that are truly groundbreaking. They're paying them to inspire the everyday person and, of course, hoping those advertising dollars come back. But most of us are never going to do what Killian does because most of us are not bionic freaks like Killian is. But I guarantee there's people who are going to look at him, who look at people setting FKTs, who look at people doing ultras, like all sorts of different things, skiing a bunch of peaks. Like I remember when Caroline Gleick did all that, I forget what she called it, but she did a ton of ski descents. I think
Yeah, the shooting gallery.
Yeah, the shooting gallery, exactly. It's, even our old fave tip-to-tip paddle guy that's out there right now.
Just the tip-to-tip.
Just the tip-to-tip, our good paddle guy.
Kyle Parker, shout out.
Yep, shout out to Kyle. But I think people can see these people doing these kind of contrived things, and it's not necessarily to inspire them to say, well, now I, like Killian, shall run and bike between these peaks. It might inspire me to say, you know what? Right on, dude. Go get something big. And what do I want to do that's big? I mean, I think it helps set a framework sometimes for our own goals. So I think about when I started trail running, I was trying to figure out how to really get into it. And I kind of set this stupid goal of running the Teton Crest because that's what Hillary Oliver, who's a writer and a filmmaker, and She was running the blog at Outdoor Research at the time. I was doing some work for her, and she had suggested it to me. And I was like, yeah, all right. And it gave me something weirdly concrete to focus on, even though no part of my brain thought I was going to be able to do it as a new runner. But it did get me out there running. And so I did end up, working toward my mileage, working towards elevation gain on trail. And the end result for me wasn't running the Teton Crest. It was that I got to spend a lot of time running in the Sierra, and it was awesome. And it kind of changed my game as far as how I got into trail, like how I enjoyed trail running and how I proceeded with it. So for me, I don't think that I love that he's doing this. I think it's great. I like the idea that people in a time when these quote firsts don't really exist and they don't really matter. Like what he's doing doesn't matter. It's not like important in the grand scheme of things. Do I think it's fun? Hell yeah, I think it's fun. Go get it, dude. I look forward to following along.
All right, I'm not going to disagree with anything you said. I think you
Great.
You summarized it really.
Stop there.
Like, just move on.
Next.
But what I think is different now, and Kyle Parker is a good one. Like, he's just a guy, right?
Yeah,
and so, like,
we
and
did
it just
talk
kind of
about
came off
that.
the couch. The age of these sort of, the Superman, Superwoman, like, the Alex Honolds, the Alex Lowe's back in the day, Dan Osmond, the original North Face climbing team, Lynn Hills. And what they were doing were sort of important and were those first that were sort of inspiring back then. And it's like now, like I'd be much more interested in what Kyle's doing or what like a Myrna Valerio's doing or somebody who's like it seems more like anybody else to in a certain degree, right? It's like I think that's a change in how we consume things. I think it's how we look at influencers or people who post on social media who are just kind of like you and me who are out and doing interesting things are probably more fascinating to me than seeing like Killian, who is he is a genetic freak. I mean, you've seen him like jump up and down on his ankles and nothing bad happens to him. He's which is incredible, by the way. Like I said,
I
not
think he was
taking
just
anything away
created
from him.
by AI. I mean,
He's the original.
He's the original AI bot. He's ChatGPT in human form.
So when I look at where brands are spending money, I'd rather
I
like
see what you're
support
saying.
Kyle, right? Like, that guy's just a kid from, I think, Wisconsin who's like, I'm going to paddle across the country and name it something funny. Like, yeah, I support that guy.
Oh yeah, no, I would love to see. Absolutely. It's like when we talked about, totally forgetting his name, but the PCT FKT guy who was sponsored by Adidas, who kind of drove me nuts.
Tim Olsen?
Tim Olsen. Yeah.
Timothy Olsen.
And it's like, we talked about this, no dig on him for training and for knocking that out and doing an incredible job, something I certainly couldn't do. But it wasn't fun for me to follow that because it was so heavily plastered in Adidas. Like it felt just like one long corporate video about hiking. And so,
which is like the most basic layer of sponsorship. I remember even like in the 2000s, like, hey, we'll put your banner. I may have even said this when you mentioned it. We'll put your banner up at the race. Like, yeah, for the 200 people who see my banner, then what am I supposed to get from that?
But see, I think this is different because I don't think, and now I haven't seen, we'll see once he starts posting about it or his team or whatever, does it become a big spot? And the thing is, Killian doesn't have a ton of sponsors right now. So I think it's a little different in that regard. And I don't think this comes off as a marketing ploy, which unfortunately Tim's, because of the way Adidas did it. And I think this is all a misstep on Adidas's part, not Tim's.
Yeah, Tim's just like, I want to do this
He's
adventure.
Just doing this,
thank you for making
it possible.
Exactly.
No, you can't blame him. So for me, this strikes a little different. This feels a little bit more like, I absolutely agree with you that I would love to see more everyday people who want to do kind of out there things get support. Yeah. I think of Arts Husonica. His trail name is Carts Husonica. He's in his 60s. He lives in Arizona. This guy is doing things like yo-yos on the Arizona Trail, paddling across, the Yukon territory, like, into his 60s. And I love following what that guy does because he is just a fascinating, joyful guy who's like, I'm just going to go out and do some fun stuff. So, yes, more support to those folks for sure. But I'm still going to enjoy following. This to me sounds like an interesting, fun little thing. And I'm curious to see if he's able to get it done and enjoy it in the process.
Okay, so let's blend, my hate of everything and your optimistic point of view. So if you're sponsoring, and it could just be Normal, who's his footwear brand, so maybe that's it. In which case, it's like, I think he's an owner there, so cool. But if it's other folks as well, how do you get the community involved? When you're breezing through some of these locations, if you're climbing 14ers, there's going to be mountain communities around most of the places you're going to go. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you get people to are there meet and greets? Are there things at retailers? How do you kind of like make it more than just Here's another picture of Killian running up a hill. I was like, yeah,
Fair.
never saw that before.
Wow.
Yeah,
Boy, that guy can run.
I bet he did it really well.
I
So,
bet. Well, we'll
right.
see, won't we? We'll have to talk about it
will.
maybe once he's completed. Hey, Killian, you want to come on the rock fight? Now he's got to come on Gear Abbey.
yes.
A third of this episode, we've talked about you, Killian. Come on, Gear Abbey.
So what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about all my big and no, we want to talk to you about poop. That's why we have you on Gear Abbey.
Again, Owen, it wasn't me. Are you ready for the lightning round, Colin?
I'm ready for you to talk about LEMS.
Well, let's do that then. I'd love to.
I'll do it if you don't want to. It's
I
fine.
always want to. Don't try to steal my LEMS thunder. All right, today's episode of The Rock Fight is presented by LEMS. Looking for shoes that offer both long-lasting durability and all-day comfort? Well, look no further than LEMS. With a versatile lineup featuring over 30 thoughtfully designed styles, from minimalist sandals and rugged trail boots to vegan-friendly sneakers and laid-back slip-ons, there's truly something for everyone. Whether you're hitting the trail, traveling the globe, or strolling through town, LEMS are built to move with you naturally and keep up every step of the way. Get shopping over at lems.com. Lemsshoes.com would be better,
There it
though.
is. That will work.
My LEMS at rockfight.com.
All right, are you ready? Are you ready now for the lightning round?
Oh, yeah. I've been ready, apparently.
Fight. Lightning round.
All right, first up for the lightning round. According to adventure.com, it has been predicted that 285,000 tourists could be visiting Antarctica by 2034, which apparently is a conservative estimate, but twice the current number. Shawnté, should a fragile place like Antarctica be sold as a tourist destination at all?
Woof. Well, I can't help but think about what happened in Iceland, where they did such a good job drawing tourists, but didn't account for what became a very negative impact on the environment, which is very measurable. So I think tourism to fragile places, I mean, is this the whole world now? Should include some sort of countermeasures that protect those environments, things like requiring volunteerism, hefty fees maybe that tie into preservation efforts, maybe a one-year one-off cycle, something like that.
I mean, upwards of 300,000 people is crazy to me. Like, I can't believe that many people. I mean, I knew it was getting more popular, but Jesus.
I think most of them stay on the boats.
All right, next up, earlier this month, a chairlift collapsed at a resort in Russia, leaving 8 hurt. While this isn't a common occurrence, what's your take on riding chairlifts? Do you never question your safety, or do you convince yourself that each one you take could be your last moment on Earth?
I'll be honest, it's more of B, and you're not going to like what I'm about to say, but the only time I really thought that I was going to fall out of a chairlift was on the Mount Baldy lift, which I suggested you take after your hike earlier this summer. Sorry.
I'm going to break lightning round protocol. You're 100% right. I was literally figuring out how I was going to dive off of that chair because I kept stopping. And it's rickety as shit,
It's
that
rickety
thing.
as shit.
All right, last story for the lightning round. On August 5th, Sam Shoemaker paddled a mushroom that he grew himself and molded to be shaped like a kayak 26 miles from Catalina Island to your hometown of Los Angeles. Are mushrooms the future of recreational paddle sports, or are we now just one step closer to The Last of Us becoming a reality?
Mushrooms are the future of everything. I mean, they are all joined up in their little like mycelium networks underground, talking to one another. Honestly, humans haven't done such a stellar job, so maybe we should just hand everything over to the mushrooms and orcas and see what they do with it.
He needs to figure out how to paint it, though, because it was kind of gross looking. It just looks like a big, like it looks like something Leatherface made in, like, the third Texas
Like
Chainsaw
someone
Massacre
put the
movie or
lotion in the
something.
basket.
Yes! Buffalo Bill would like a word. All right, today's main story is presented by Oboes, who loves hiking. And as the Cupid of the outdoors, Oboes wants to help you love hiking just as much as they do. So last month on the Trek.co, featured writer Katie Jackson posted a piece about the, quote, controversial and hotly debated points of trail etiquette. Now, anyone who spends any time on any trail will immediately form opinions about the right and wrong way to be out there. So I thought we'd use Katie's article as a guide to talk about some of these, on-trail scenarios and how we feel about them. We've touched on some etiquette things before. I have definitely talked about some etiquette things on the podcast over the years.
From your front porch, fist shaking at the sky.
Yeah, I've talked to the clouds.
Old man yells at clouds. Starring
the
Colin True.
That's right. If I can win ever that title, that'd be a big accomplishment. So the 6 categories, according to Katie's article, there's right of way, yielding, music, leashed dogs, food packing, and muddy patches. Actually, before I tee you up, do you have any just sort of general etiquette Yeah, or I don't want to spoil anything you're going to say, but do you have any sort of just general thoughts on etiquette before we kind of get into it?
I will say that you got kind of two schools of people out there. You have the people who know everything and are dicks to other people who don't know everything. And then you have people who know everything and try to be nice when they're educating other people. So I had an example maybe 2 summers ago. I was up by Cathedral Lake in Yosemite camping for the night. I was on a couple multi-week backpacking trip. And when I got to the lake, there were a couple of tents right next to the lake. And so I was like, okay. I looked to see, it was like 3 young girls, like pretty young, maybe 20, 21, I don't know. And as my friends and I are going to go set up in the woods, and this guy comes past, and my friends and I are having snacks next to the lake before we had set up our camp. We're having snacks by the lake. I'd kind of chit-chatted with the girls, and I went over to say hi. And without me saying anything, they said, "We're too close to the water, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I kind of explained, like, "Yeah, we really don't want to camp right next to the water because it's sort of."
But they opened the door for you.
They did. They were really chill. They kind of knew, and so I was really chill with them. And I said, "Yeah, it's not always a great idea because it's harder for everybody to be able to enjoy the water, and then also the animals don't feel comfortable coming up sometimes when there's like big human encroachments." And they're like, "Oh no, thanks for being cool with us." This dude comes by a little bit later and he just yells, "Yeah, I guess fuck the 100-foot rule, huh?" And I was like, and I turned to him and I said, "Sorry, what?" He's like, "Yeah, fuck the 100-foot rule. I guess just camp wherever you want." And I was like, "Well, first of all, those aren't my tents. My tents are in the woods." You know what he does? He goes and walks into the woods to see if mine and the 2 people I was camping with, and he comes out salty as fuck. He's like, "Whatever." And walks away. I was like, "Dang."
Did he show you his badge? The trail police.
Trail
Jesus
police.
Christ.
Yeah. So I don't love the trail police. I think we can all do a better job of kindly educating each other. Like, people being assholes is one thing, but a lot of people honestly are just ignorant, Colin. So go ahead. Let's run through these. We'll see what I think.
No, I think that's a great table setter because we're obviously going to express some opinions right now.
Never.
But I think there is sort of listen, either if you're going to address it with somebody, number one, expect that they may not like it, even if you're nice about it. You might be just better off just getting away as quickly as possible to put that bad experience behind you. But there are times when it's like, just be aware of what your approach is. I mean, if that guy if he really, man, that's his bugaboo, just come down and be like, "Hey guys, look, man, I know it's really nice to be next to the water, but you really can't be down here." I mean, even then, that's a little more aggressive than what you did, but it's also like, it was just, it's defensible, I guess, is my point.
Yeah,
so.
Other than instead of yelling, "Fuck the 100-foot
Yeah,
rule."
fuck the 100-foot. Yeah, maybe you don't,
Okay,
how about this, buddy? They probably don't even know what that rule is because they're camped right next to the water.
No, they
Connect some
didn't.
dots
I think
in
it
your
was
head.
their first backpacking trip too.
Oh my God. All right, well, I comboed the first 2 categories, right of way and yielding to bikers, hikers, and horses, because there's some crossover there. So the etiquette states, downhillers give way to uphillers. Everyone yields to horses. Bikers yield to hikers, and bikers get jack shit. Like, no one, you get nothing. No, that's the way it is. If you ride a bike, no one yields to you. Like, you get to just pull over for everybody. So, how do you feel about what's going on the trails on these 2 categories?
All right. I'd say I'm mostly on board with these concepts, except for I do not like that in order to yield to horses, they suggest you stand on the downhill side because horses will tend to spook uphill. And so it's not my favorite when I'm on a steep trail. There's a big drop off, but I always do it. I also try to hide my trekking poles because some horses will get spooked by those. Yep. I also yield to cyclists going downhill because I don't want to get squashed. And personally,
this is easier.
Yeah. I also yield to cyclists going uphill because honestly, I think they're working a little harder than me in that moment. I mean, I'm working hard, but their quads are probably burning a little harder. So for me personally, I think a bike, you've got something under your control. Like, let's give those people the right of way is my opinion. But I do really wish more people gave uphill hikers the right of way in those hiker versus hiker situations, because when I'm hiking or trail running, I'm trying to keep my breath as measured and rhythmic as possible, especially on those uphills. And I tend to have a pretty good cadence then, like of my breath and my steps and everything. So it's always a bummer to interrupt that. And so but I don't mind stepping to the side sometimes for a breather, panting, gasping for air if I need to. But yeah, I think a lot of people still don't really adhere to the hiker versus hiker uphill yielding. But I would like them to.
This combo here is like the one that causes probably the most issues on trails, right? And I think your instincts are right, especially like yielding to bikers or whatever it is, and it's just being proactive. But it also, I think, then sets a bad precedent for people who don't know, because then they think, like, oh, hikers are supposed to step aside from me. And I've experienced that too. So I tend to, as a mountain biker, when I'm hiking or running, I go right in the middle of the trail and I stand there. Not stand, but I move because I have the right of way. And I want to see what they're going to do. My point of view on all of these things is just, yes, there's probably the technically right or wrong way. The right thing to do is deference to the other people you encounter.
Just say, hey, on your left or whatever.
Take a second, right, and just, what is the other person going to do? If it means like, hey, they're really barreling through on foot or on bike, and then, okay, great, I'll just step aside. The one that drives me crazy, and I'm sure I've talked about this on the podcast before, is when it comes to horses. You're talking about bringing a whole other massive 1,000-pound entity into whatever's happening on the trail that has a brain and is a prey animal and prone to spooking. You stop whatever you're doing and you look at the person riding and say, hey, what would you like me to do?
Yeah, I've done that a lot. Yeah,
Right?
like what's the best thing? Because I've been in situations, just maybe 2 weeks ago, I was in the Sierra and there was a whole pack train just across the trail. And I was like, can I go? I don't know if I can go around you.
What should I do here, guys?
Because they weren't in a line. They were just spread. Like all the horses were just willy-nilly. It was just horse mayhem. And I've seen horses. I've been on horses when they get spooked, and it is not my favorite thing.
Yeah,
so.
You can get hurt. Me as the hiker or biker on the ground can get hurt. I mean, it's just dumb. Like, I've seen cyclists, mountain bikers arguing with people on horses over who has the right of way, and it's like, shut the fuck up, pull off to the side.
Or just talk, like communicate.
Right?
I wish more people just looked at each other. I think so many people think it's their own private Idaho out there, which all of these etiquette things kind of come back to. But we're all sharing this space, so let's figure out how to do it the least obtrusive way possible.
And I would say to the more experienced trail users, and we can move on to the next one, is also adjust your expectations, because I noticed that too. If I go out on a busy trail that gets a lot of use from there's horses, there's hikers, there's runners, there's bikers. Man, there's going to be dicks. There's going to be people who don't know what they're doing. There are people maybe out there, they're pushing strollers who don't know what they're supposed to do. So just be a little patient. Just take a breath. And if you really don't want that experience, then don't go to that trail that day, So,
all right, what else you got?
We solved that.
Fixed.
I'm just going to clear out and for music, which I think was mostly related to people who bring their speakers on trail.
Oh my God, that's the worst.
Over to you.
Yeah, no. I did not sign up to share your Spotify account. That is my take on this. It's my number one pet peeve when I'm hiking, when people are using speakers. And I really only get annoyed with it when I'm in the backcountry, like on a front country trail, something like Griffith Park or whatever. You do your thing. I don't care.
Well, that's back to that. I just don't know.
Whatever. Yeah, it's not my favorite, but I also am not as bothered by it because we're in this public space. Like in a public park, you're going to hear radios. It's just how it works. But in the backcountry, I think people also don't realize that wilderness regulations actually ask that you don't play amplified music. So I know there's people who think it's boring to hike without music. I know there's people who feel like music motivates them on trail, which we obviously talked about when we made our 90s playlist with Doug. Or they feel like using music, they're nervous and they feel like it'll help them scare away any animals that might attack or whatever. And I understand
that one's a little silly.
No, it's not, Colin. You know how many people use bear bells on trails? It's the same concept. No,
okay.
It's not silly. I think for a lot of people, they're nervous to be out where a bear or something might.
Sure, I make it. I mean, I get it. So
their thought is like, oh, and I've met people who've done this, and that's their thought is it'll scare them away. But that last one is actually true, and so it's kind of a crappy thing to do to play the music because you're really disrupting this environment we're walking through. So that is the bear's environment, or it is the marmot's environment. I had to bring a marmot into this. I don't know. Maybe marmots do like some smooth jazz or something. I'm imagining. I'll try next time.
We go to what marmots listen to. That's our next ultimate.
I'm just gonna carry a pair of maracas out with me. I have some, and just see like.
Would that be as equally annoying as someone walking with a speaker, though?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not a fan. Like I've been up on mountaintops where. I have been out there when people have busted out a guitar or something, and I'm like, I don't really want to listen to your campfire sounds right now. I just want to be here on the mountain. But I have also seen, like, I've seen people bring string instruments into remote places, and it is pretty neat to see those videos. Do I know if I don't know that I'd want to be there in the moment? I like the concept, but no, I can hear a lot of sounds where I live in the city, so I don't want to hear amplified sounds when I'm out in nature.
The only time I was actually okay with it was, and I'm sure I told this story as well, but like a Split Rock Mountain. I forget. It's
don't
in
know.
Quaymoka State Park, and it's this awesome sort of like exposed summit, and it's great. And we did a nighttime hike up it, an evening hike up it. We were going to watch the sunset, and we got to the top, and there was some local hiking group that had done it, and they're all drinking hard kombucha, and they had music on, and it was like a party at the summit, and as I say those words, normally I'd be like, come on, stop it. But actually rolling up there, because they started
Yeah.
cheering as we're coming up to the summit, I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. It was so
Because they brought
fun.
you into it. That's the
They
thing,
brought you
right?
into
You
it,
got to be a
yes.
part of it. It's different than
Yes.
somebody sort of just blaring music.
Right,
Yeah.
right. When it comes, I tend to, it's just kind of same thing, like a front country or, depending on what the interaction is, like, especially if it's somebody going the opposite way, I just, I don't say anything usually. Like the one thing I will, back to the yielding, like if I'm riding uphill, especially on a bike, and another cyclist comes downhill, I will yell, uphill has right of way. Like I'm like, I don't care. Like get mad at me if you want. Cause like that is to me the one black or white, the uphill cyclist to another cyclist. No, you pull over. That's what happens. And if you don't know that, especially in the age of e-bikes, which we're going to get to in the parting shot, it's
boy.
going to, it's like, it can get really dangerous. And if somebody's coming the other way and they have a speaker on, then I just try and ignore it and they'll be gone in a few minutes. But yeah, generally speaking though, no. Just what do you do? There's so many earbud options. There's so many.
Just do it.
All right. Next up, leash dogs. Etiquette states your dog should be on a leash unless stated otherwise. And I agree with that
Okay.
as a dog owner.
Yeah, I love dogs. I love hiking with dogs. I love meeting dogs on trail. But I also do not want to get run up on aggressively and barked at or knocked down, which has happened to me. I got knocked out on the Colorado Trail with my full pack on, and I was pissed because this dog ran up to me. I actually thought it was a bear. I was like, oh shit, this bear is charging me, because it was a really big dog. And I only saw it for a second, and it just like bounded right into me and knocked me over. And then the owner comes up a minute later. He's like, oh, sorry. He's real friendly. I'm like, that's not friendly. That's not friendly to be knocked over by a dog.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's also just not great to have dogs running around, when we're talking the backcountry, domesticated dogs chasing wildlife. Like your dog may be very well behaved at home, but have you seen how your dog reacts? You don't know that it's seen all the animals that exist out there. How will it react to that animal? So it's just a good thing also for the wildlife to sort of keep things a little more contained. But I get it. Like I understand how wonderful it is. Like dogs, I love seeing dogs being free and living their best doggy lives. And so it's a hard one, especially if it's a corgi or an Australian shepherd. Like, let that dog run up to me, but otherwise maybe not.
I have 2 Australian Shepherds, by the way.
I didn't know that. I can't wait to come
Yeah?
see Lord of the Rings now.
Oh, no, they're not nice dogs. they got during
hell?
COVID, so they don't know anybody other than us, and they bark at everybody incessantly.
I'll fix
You
that.
can meet the one.
I'll be the one.
But I've learned the hard way with dogs, right? I mean, when I got
Yeah.
my first dog, when my wife and I was like 21, 22, we got a dog for free in the farm, and it's this thing in your head, like, we're going to go for a hike, and you take it off leash, and we just run free. And it is, and to your point, there's that visual of the dog running. It's really
like
fun.
tongue
and all that
out.
stuff.
They're all happy.
Yes. But unless you can just guarantee, and even in my
Yeah.
thing now is like, even if you can guarantee me that the dog is under voice command, put it on a leash.
Yep.
There's a small mountain behind my house. I talk about it all the time. I go up there, and I've had multiple interactions where my dog, who she's kind of a dick, but she's not aggressive or mean, right? She just barks a lot, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, but when we're up there, usually that means I have had 55 minutes of my day open up that I'm going to run up there for a quick hike to get a workout in. And I'm taking my dog with me. And people come out, oh, their dogs. And then as we come around the corner, there's a dog off leash. I'm like, my dog's is on leash and is going to be immediately interested and going to be kind of an asshole about it. Put your dog on a leash. Say, hey, could you leash your dog, please? Oh, is your dog not friendly? No, my dog's actually very friendly. I don't have time for you. I'm not up here to hang out with you and your dog. And it's like, so and also there's a sign at the beginning of the trail that says, put your dog on a leash. It's not that hard. You just don't want to do it. So
It's true.
This is great. I'm getting lots of
I was going to
negative
say, is
energy
this
out
just
today.
like therapy for you?
This is an amazing episode. All right, last 2. Food packing.
Food
So the
packing.
etiquette states that you pack out your food scraps. So no banana peels in the trail.
No banana peels on the trail. I feel like the people who are just leaving scraps everywhere are the same people who used to just whip cigarette butts out of cars, like in the 80s.
Right.
Listen, this is not a Lonely Island skit. You should not just throw it on the ground. This ground isn't part of your sanitation system. The ground's not your dad. Okay? So for real, though, I think people assume that food will just easily decompose, right?
Right.
And that is, and become like one with the soil. But this is not the case with a lot of foods, including the ubiquitous orange peels, little mandarin peels every frickin' where. They can take for damn ever to break down, especially in places here, arid places like California. It's not wet enough here. Think about what it takes for a compost pile to actually work. A lot of people don't understand compost piles either. And you have to have the right conditions for the microbes to do their thing and everything to start breaking down. Same thing in regular ass soil. So orange peels can last for years. Do not leave your orange peels. They turn into little petrified pieces of shit that I pack out. So yeah, I get a little fired up about that one too. Don't do it. Just carry it out, people.
What about empty goo packs? They're okay though, right?
Oh my God, I've picked up so many of those. It's the pull tabs on the top because it's like all that little micro trash. I did a thing, I don't think I've ever mentioned it, but I did, Granite Gear did a program, and they might still be doing it, called the Groundskeepers, where they geared up some hikers who were heading out to do long trails with the expectation that we would all pick up garbage along the way. And it was very illuminating, being focused on garbage while you're hiking. You realize how much of it is actually out there.
Last one, and I guess I do think of this, and not as frequently as the others, though, muddy patches, which etiquette states you go through the mud, not around it.
Yes. Sometimes this feels like the hardest one of all personally, because you're just like, ooh, I don't want to touch it. So gross.
It depends on the consistency of the mud you're about to walk through.
Yeah, some of it is just like, like baby shit. But you got to walk through it, even though it's disgusting. I sometimes have to take a moment and gather myself. But the issue with walking around it is that you're widening the existing trail. You might even create a second rut, which is going to just become mud and fill with water. And then you just keep widening. Like I was up at Cathedral Pass in Yosemite, this beautiful high altitude alpine meadow. And it's all jacked up because there's multiple trails running through it now, from people skipping the main trail and trying to walk on the side of it. You're also killing whatever foliage is there. And as somebody who has done trail maintenance and done trail building, I can tell you it's very hard, and it takes a really long time to even just build or maintain a mile of trails. So please don't make it harder on any of us who are out here doing this work so that we can all enjoy these trails.
It's just, you got to go through it. That's the way it is.
Just gotta go
until it
through
dries
it.
out.
Yeah. Gotta go through it is the metaphor for life.
There it is.
Or just stay away until it dries out. Maybe also a metaphor for life. I don't know.
Well, I think that leads us to our oboes outro.
Well, you know what? Today's top stories on the Rock Fight were brought to you by Oboes, who wants to share their love of hiking, and we want to help them by uncovering all the different reasons we love to take the long walk, including the following. Number 1. Nature doesn't care about your follower count. And that's why I love nature.
Have we talked to Mother Nature about that? Maybe she really does.
I think she doesn't. Yeah, I think she's pretty firm on that. Number 2, nobody ever said, wow, that cubicle view is breathtaking.
Have you seen my cubicle?
I'm looking at it right now.
I know. It's pretty breathtaking.
It's padded. It looks like you're in a padded room. Very breathtaking.
That's how I live my life.
Oh boy. Number 3, every route and rock is a free agility course.
Especially if you're going through it.
For your unleashed dog.
That's right. Yes, exactly.
You have a callback. Good job, you. And number 4, your new Oboes Hyalite Mid waterproof boots. The Oboes Hyalite is designed for lasting comfort and made with recycled and bio-based materials. Yeah, saucy. The Hyalite collection is designed to support your stride, whether that's out on rocky switchbacks or wandering closer to home. So this hiking appreciation moment is brought to you by Oboes of Bozeman, Montana. Oboes is the maker of premium quality footwear for the trail and the Cupid to the outdoor world. Oboes, love hiking.
It's time for a party shop.
Boy, now we have to change the mood, don't we, Colin? Because you're
We
going to do a
do. This has been
shot.
this has been a therapeutic episode because it's time for the parting shot, and I have some beef. All right, so Shawnté, please remove yourself from my
boy.
lawn. I hope the clouds are ready for a good fist shaking.
Oh boy.
Because old guy Colin's here with a hot take that is perfectly timed, given our conversation around trail etiquette. I'm not going to make any bones about it. I'm just going to say it straight up. I fucking hate e-mountain bikes. I fucking hate e-mountain bikes.
Such
I hate
a hater.
I hate them so much. I've been so good about...
Have you?
Yeah, I've been pretty good.
I feel like you've bitched about
it
before.
But I understand. That somebody with a disability or an older individual helps them get out there. I get that, but it doesn't mean that I like them. And you're right. Obviously, I have a reputation. It's fine. But the other day I was out mountain biking and a fucking pack of e-bikers came up behind me and passed me. No bells. No, hey, coming up on your left. Just a quick glance at me as they're passing by. Luckily, I was on a reasonably wide trail. Otherwise, it could have gone badly. It was like 7 people just go cruising by me on an uphill. And then to make it worse, this is what I'm like, this is the parting shot this week.
Oh boy.
I actually caught these guys later in the ride. So going uphill, there's like in turbo mode or whatever, zipping uphill. And then I actually caught up to them and they're all like winded.
Did you feel very smug in that moment, Colin?
Oh, yeah. And I was riding my fully rigid, surly mountain bike.
Wow.
Look, I've said it before, but e-bikes are creating a generation of riders who don't know how to mountain bike. They don't know the etiquette. They don't have the fucking leg strength to be out there in remote places, understanding that if your bike fails, you're walking out. And don't give me also, it's great, I can ride twice as far as you as the person on the analog bike. Who cares? I hate that argument so much. Since when has the good vibes or happiness created by riding my mountain bike been tied to being able to ride further in a given day? The joy comes in earning those miles, feeling strong, using your body to negotiate the technical trail, and that feeling of flying when hitting the downhill. I'm over it. I'm never owning an e-bike. They suck.
God.
At least until one day I really need to, and I'll change my opinion. But that's my parting shot.
Exactly. Wow, man, you
just so mad.
If you were a climber, you would have been one of those guys bitching about how climbing gyms ruin climbing and nobody knows how to climb and blah.
On the flip side, I really love climbing gyms. I think it is part of that etiquette thing. Like I'm obviously
it's the etiquette. Yeah,
over the top.
Yeah.
If they had said, "Hey, on your left, coming up behind you," just some typical trail stuff. But it's just, I didn't know they were there because they were basically not pedaling or it was like zipping along. And all of a sudden this guy's passing me. And I had this moment of like, how are you going so fast? Then I'm like, oh.
Were you just feeling salty
battery.
because you weren't going as fast?
Maybe.
It's okay,
No.
Colin. I'm glad we could have this therapy session for you today, though. Truly.
God, this was such a good episode.
Says you. Everybody else stopped listening at the 30-minute mark.
No way. The haters are here with me.
Yeah. You're going to get some emails this week, I think, for sure.
I hope so. Send us your emails. We want your
Colin
emails.
They're really all for Colin this episode.
They are. Was I really over the top? Was it bad?
No, it was great, actually.
Okay, good. All right, good. That is the show for the day, and we do want your emails. Send them to myrockfight@gmail.com. The Rock Fight's a production of Rockfight LLC. For Gear Abby herself, Shawnté Salabert, I'm Colin True. Thanks for listening. And someone who didn't make the 90s playlist, sorry, Krista Makes. We talked about Less Than Jake for a split second, but you're here to sing the Rock Fight fight song. Thank you very much for that. And we'll see you next time, Rock Fighters.
Rock